Ooh, that's a bit of a run. Okay, I'm here in Bath today. Alan and I are doing a podcast special. We've actually come to the Bath Digital Festival, which is on all week, celebrating technology. There's lots of business talks, tech talks, and other things like that going on. We've got a jam-packed 2 days. My first one is come up in a few minutes. I can see there's already people at the door. Anyway, see you later. Why are we here? Why are we in this park? This beautiful park, actually, in Bath.
We're at the Bath Digital Festival.
Bath Digital Festival.
Indeed.
And it's something you've been going to for quite some time, haven't you?
Yeah, I try to come every year, and every year it gets bigger and better. Well, hopefully better. It's only day one lunchtime, so so far so good. Yeah, it's a great, very, very cheap, if I can use that word.
It is. It's like £15 a ticket. Well, for me, you got an early bird ticket.
I did an early bird ticket for £10, so I get a whole week for £10, no matter whatever I want to go to. For the money you pay and the stuff you can learn and the people you can hear and meet.
It is amazing.
Incredible.
From the one I've been to see so far, I think they've upped their game. It's really good.
Yeah,
I'm really pleased with it. You know, I've taken 2 days out to come here, basically jam-packed with lots of different events or different things. It's quite a broad spectrum, isn't it? I mean, it's all focused on celebrating technology, but there's lots of things. The one I went to see this morning at 10 o'clock was growing your agency by a guy called Yanis, who I swear I've seen him before somewhere. I spoke to him afterwards, and we both were sure we knew each other, but maybe we've both got those faces.
You both got the same face.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's you, Ben. No, really nice guy. Great talk. Basically, I think it's about 2 hours going through what the top agencies do. So the sort of processes that they put in place to develop their agency, run their agency as a proper business rather than just you know, smaller companies. You know, everything from looking at profit to looking at your team, culture, clients, all that sort of stuff.
Was it full? Was there many people in it?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I'd say there's about 30 people, maybe slightly more. Really good, good room. Did some engagement, talked to other people in the room about their business and what they did.
That's a good sized room to be able to just have a bit of dialogue and feel a bit more included. I was in like more of like a seminar room. It was, I think, with 200 in mine. It felt like 200. I got one of the last seats because I was like having to run for my first talk. So I literally had to do that. You have to shuffle into the only seat left in the middle of the thing. That was me.
Making lots of noise and everyone's looking at you.
Yeah, that was me. But that's okay.
What was your talk?
My talk was about digital PR and SEO. So they were talking local businesses, 2 local businesses. Well, one in Bristol, who I shouldn't say ice cream. They make gelato. That's quite that was made quite clear in the presentation.
What's the difference?
Yeah, they didn't go into that too much.
Oh.
They were talking about how they use SEO and social media. Well, more social media actually. I've said SEO a number of times. Mostly social media, to be honest. So Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and just how those things can help a startup, I guess. And they were doing things like they had like a blogger day when they were first opened their shop. So they would have people come and just try all the gelato and then sort of blog about it. Just gather some momentum.
Did they tell you how they approached that? Because that sounds like a good idea, but how do you go about organising that and getting finding enough bloggers in the local area to come?
I don't know. They didn't get too much into that.
Anything else there?
A couple of things. There was interesting things about meta description isn't used at all for ranking. I didn't know that. I thought it was, but it's not.
No, not for ranking, but it can be used as a conversion factor. So so the text you have in there will be maybe useful to someone clicking through it.
Absolutely, but there's no point coming it with like keywords and phrases because it has to. It's more human readability.
I don't know. I heard the other day that the keyword tag actually has a small relevance in keyword in
it can't hurt to have keywords there, but you know.
I don't think it hurts as long as everything is well written and makes sense. There should be no reason for doing it.
The other thing that came up, which is interesting, something I worked on yesterday. Part of my job is the idea of structured data using schema to describe things on your site. So it's just a kind of like, I guess you could describe it as an organised way to describe products, where you are, the navigation on your site, events maybe on your site, things like this. Google can then pluck out and just understand what the data is, almost if you're giving it like a CSV kind of thing. And that's like a separate part on your page, which should have all this code delivered in JSON, LD, often, or in microdata. And then you'll see on your results, you'll get little bits like reviews as well. That's really big for schema structured data. And that's why when you see on sites some results, you'll see like a review and then maybe a price, and maybe how many items are in stock. Behind the scenes, the website is telling Google all this information, and Google picks it up and shows it. It just makes for a much more rich result, more likely to click on it, more likely to be relevant, more likely to be the right answer, which Google is trying to provide to people. So that's something we're starting to do more of, and definitely something that you guys should be doing more of if that's what
yeah, and I think there's a general rule there. If you can make your website easier for Google to scrape data from by presenting that data in a way that's fast, clear, and you help label it as a certain set of data, if you make it easier for Google, Google will benefit you because of that. There's various different things you can do. Oh, good. Yeah. Anything else on SEO?
Interestingly, he was saying, content's more important than links, and I think still in my mind, I'm thinking I need links to come in.
No, you know what?
Actually, it's not as important.
There's a site that was ranking for some sort of massage therapy. I can't remember what it was. Some not obscure phrase, but probably a phrase you could rank for. And they proved that you could rank page number 1 within, I think it was a couple of days or a week, just by putting all the magic bits in. So metadata, keywords, URL, headings, everything in the right place. All the text on it was lorem ipsum. There's a few images, maybe keyword in the right way. So they had just literally put in the bare minimum you need to they ticked all the boxes to make a site rank. No links to it.
Okay. I didn't know there were still lorem ipsum readers out there, but it's clearly, you shouldn't ignore these old languages.
Yeah, absolutely. So it just goes to show that if it has some uniqueness to it and there's not too much competition, then you could rank quite well as long as you do the basic things. And there was actually some other competition for it.
That's very interesting, and that's exactly what this guy was saying. So don't worry too much about getting links in. It's great content, not thin content, not just little bits. But he was saying often it's better to write 4 pages, if you've got enough to write about, 4 pages on something that will link together, than 1 massive page on one thing. Again, I guess it makes it more relevant for people just looking for a little bit.
Yeah.
These are. But the thing with SEO is it's all an experiment, and people don't know all the answers. They're always trying to investigate. And I was reading recently that the future of SEO is quite scary, because they're making algorithms where eventually nobody will know what it's doing. Yeah. The algorithm would have worked out. I mean, we're talking like Skynet stuff. Although I don't think the Terminator would be involved in SEO as such, but it's like this idea that actually it just does it. It just does its same thing, and you can't extrapolate it. A bit like the Facebook sort of algorithm. You can't really write it down. You can't say it does this in this situation. There's so many permeabilities, and it changes. It works out, changes, and then just adapts.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things Chris does. Chris, our SEO colleague. He will look at what goes in and what comes out and measure the result. And basically, you've got a black box, and you feed stuff in, and you look at the output. Yeah. And you then change the input and see if the output changes, and basically, work it through a series of scientific steps and a method. Okay, we've stopped for some dinner.
Right, yes.
Before our final one at, 6 o'clock, so we've got a quick dinner. We went to see, this was a suite of talks really, New Frontiers in Digital Creativity. I've made a few notes here, not of everyone, there's one I didn't make a note of, I haven't got his name, so I'm sorry about that. It's usually you didn't say anything noteworthy for me to write down, but the talk was interesting.
Oh,
sorry, but it was good, but there was no...
I'm right with you, I know who he is, so that's okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Perfect.
Right, so let's just quickly run through them. The first was Nick Ellis. I thought he was quite an interesting presenter. In fact, his first video was of his creative team, I assume, telling him how bad he was at presenting and why he was actually presenting. So it's a nice little way to set the tone. But a couple of things that I found interesting there. One sort of key point that he was talking about was that content isn't everything. People want to fill an email with content or a website with content. And he said people don't want content, they want to be able to do something. So one example he gave was for, it wasn't Ticketmaster, was it Live Events?
Live Nation.
Live Nation. So he said people don't want a newsletter full of content, they want a newsletter with, what's coming up. They maybe heard about some artist who's available to go and see, and they thought it might be interested. They want to be able to find out how to buy that and get straight into it rather than see all the content. Just before you go on, he also said blogs are on the whole.
He said that word.
He did, yeah.
In public.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but we'll go with it.
I think he was also saying that people don't always know what they want, and if you ask them, they'll tell you maybe what they think they should say or what you want them to hear, or if you feed them a leading question, they'll probably answer it with a yes, because it's kind of easy and accepting.
Yeah.
And so that if you go in there with a predefined idea of what you want, or if you think they're going to say, like they had this to do with emails, they were asking people, would you like to get emails about all this stuff? And they're like, yeah, but actually, no, they didn't really. They just wanted to buy tickets and know when the next gig was and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, they just want a lot of people want to please you. When you ask questions like that, they go, yeah, I want to do that.
The bottom line is they just trust your instincts a bit more than data sometimes, and ask the right questions, and don't be afraid to ignore the majority sometimes if you think it's not a fair assessment. But that's hard to judge, but I guess that comes with experience.
Yeah,
and maybe further tests.
Yeah, sometimes go, what's he said, hear your audience, listen to your instinct. Which is sometimes you've just got to go with what you feel is right, and then iterate from there on using data, whether it's working or not. Any more on Nick? So that was Nick Ellis. I don't know if I said Nick Ellis. So I wanted Jamie, just say yes. So he was talking about basically following his passion and coming across maybe complicated or difficult problems that a client came to him with and he didn't know how to solve them, but he would just say yes. And he was a yes man, and he would just find out how to deal with it later. So he would
a talented yes man, not someone who's going to say yeah, I'll do it. And
I think he was keen. He would get on with. He showed us lots of different challenges where he would go, yes, Channel 4, I'll help you create that identity, which I've never ever done before for TVs.
I mean, he had a few really good, contacts and experience with Channel 4, and he was quite right in saying that they have very, very crazy deadlines, often days.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't think some of that stuff that they
to do in 4 days over a weekend.
It's amazing, yeah. But I do like Channel 4 like that because they clearly outsource a lot of their stuff, and that's why everything's so fresh, so different, stylish, and just loads of ideas, because they just go and ask various people for their creative input.
Well, oddly, although he won a lot of the initial identity work, what they didn't win is the actual sort of main final production work. So what they did is they came up with a very creative idea. So a lot of the Channel 4 more for idents that we see, they created the concept for it, but they never did the final production.
The 4-7 logo with the 7 down the side, they did that. Yeah, but another agency came in and maybe sort of added flourishes to it. We're in the pub in Bradford-on-Avon now.
Yeah, we retired to Bradford-on-Avon,
my hometown.
So we come here to end the day off.
How's the last?
It was good. So
so
I went to see. It was called Build a Computer Game.
Yes.
It was run by the Maiden Academy. Now we heard one of his talks earlier. I can't remember the guy's name. Charlie, lovely guy, really, really nice. He went through basically building a very simple game in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript or jQuery. What was nice about it is just going through a really nice, simple methodology. Very, very nice, actually, quite relaxing to do at the end of the day. Bit of light coding. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Thanks. What's this, Charlie?
It's funny. I've never found jQuery relaxing in any way. It's usually like, I told it to do that thing, I didn't do it. Yeah,
it was good.
Usually like that.
It was good. So thank you for that. And what did you see?
I went to, I think it was called Immersive Stories.
Yeah.
And what I really like about the Bath Festival, you don't always quite know what it's going to be, and it really wasn't what I thought it was going to be in any way, shape or form, not at all. So it's quite fun. You sort of turn up in some situation which you weren't fully prepared for.
It sounded like some VR experience to me.
It wasn't at all. Firstly I thought it was going to be a talk.
Yeah.
It sort of wasn't.
Yeah.
And I thought it was going to be like people showcasing latest VR, maybe AI, augmented reality type stuff. It wasn't that. It was in like a shared workspace place, or like a sort of where companies hire a bit of offices on different floors. There's quite a few of those in Bath. Yeah. Popped up, called Spaces, which is quite nice. Not been in there before, but it's quite a cool place. And it was actually, as I went in, it was sort of like canapes and wine, and people just milling around.
Really, I should have come to yours.
I know, we should have.
Sorry, Charlie. Canapes and wine.
Canapes, wine, and then just lots of people sort of milling and sort of
we have fizzy water.
Okay. So I was like, oh, maybe the talks will start soon, and we'll go into a little room and stuff, but that didn't happen. And
you're waiting for this immersion.
I was waiting for something. As it turns out, it was a sort of launch thing for a sort sort of multi-university funding project looking at sort of immersive technologies, like a research project. And to explain that very well.
Right up your street.
I wasn't really the target audience. It was more like people who had research projects to do with this stuff, and it was like a 4-year project and with some money, and you can apply to be a fellow of Bath Spa and all this sort of thing. It's the Bath Spa University involved. It wasn't really applicable to me in any way, but there we are.
You enjoyed
stood
the
around
campaign.
and yeah.
What was your favourite of the day?
That's a good question. I suppose for me it would be the guy from Hug. I think he sort of sticks in my mind as being just a really good talker, really naturally affable and capable, and sort of knew what he was talking about, but not afraid to say, do you know what, I don't know everything, and we're trying to make it better, and this is how we're doing it, and it seems to work, and we've taken maybe the wrong route to get here, but here we are.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the idea, and so he's someone who just sticks in my mind, I suppose.